Hey guys, hope everyone's well. For anyone who might have stumbled, I often say this, but for anyone who might have stumbled across this crazy guy here, I myself, check out part 1 and part 2 of this video if you find the title interesting or the subject interesting. I'm actually, if anyone has watched part 1 and stroke or 2 already, because I'm probably going to repeat some of the points. Try not to repeat too many. But I am actually a Italian football fan, but I also want to look at some of the negative sides of Italian football and address some of them, possibly to look at how to improve Italian football as well. But also because it's the 13th, and 13 to me is quite unlucky. But anyway, so I go back, going back into the list 21 to recap some of the points I've already made. I think Italian football is known to be a bit defensive, over-defensive, a bit boring. I think this system is called Catenari. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And it's about counter-attacking football, or quite a lot of defensive football, prioritising defence. And to a lot of people, it's quite boring. But Italians are used to the system, or maybe even obsessed with the system. Because I think, or certainly used to think, I look Italian. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to play in defence. But yeah, when I was learning about the World Cup, I thought I'll be an Italian fan. And in the past, I used to support Italy for everything. Now it's just like football. But whenever an Italian team plays a non-Italian team, I always want them to win. I'm not so fussed about the league or anything like that, but I'm mostly fussed about the about Italian teams winning when they play non-Italian teams. Things like Mediterranean teams. Whenever a Mediterranean teams, like even Barcelona or Real Madrid, or any of the Spanish or French teams play non-Mediterranean teams like Dutch or German or English or Danish or Swedish or whatever, I always want those teams to win, like the Mediterranean ones. But Italian, if an Italian team doesn't win, like the Champions League or the Europa League or anything like that, I want another Mediterranean team, like French, especially like PSG or Marseille or whatever, or a Spanish team, which I think plays the most attractive or cool football actually, but then also the Mediterranean. But anyway, because I suppose it could have been Spain that I supported, because I was quite naive about things, and I didn't really know much about the World Cup, but I didn't know why I thought why people thought I look Italian, but I suppose like complexion in Spain, Spanish people probably look quite similar. But anyway, so 21. I think like sometimes a team has also gone to play more attacking football, but then afterwards has reverted back to the cultural way of defending and being obsessed with just defending. And I think that's important, as I said before, but I think sometimes you have to take risks, throw caution to the wind. As they say, he who dares win, or they who dare win. They who dare win. So yeah, I think I'd love to see Italian football keep some of the defensive stuff that Italian football can do, but also plays more attacking when it needs to, and that kind of thing, and take risks as well a little bit. And also I talked about some of the prejudice or racism and violence, football hooliganism, and perhaps some of the corruption and crime that's linked to Italian football. So I'd love to change a lot of that sort of stuff. 22, again, I think like the differences in terms of making change. I think Italian football finds change quite difficult. It's more attacking football and things like that. Trying to think if any others. Yeah, 23. I think, like I say, it can be quite. Italian football can be prejudiced, but also quite arrogant, perhaps, or maybe that's just a perception. But I'd be interested to know what people think, what perceptions people have of Italian football, or people who maybe can challenge some of those perceptions, or say that racism is not what it seems in Italian football because it's like more regional, or people who have been to Italian games and enjoyed those games and can talk about some of the more positive things, or how Italian football perhaps is misrepresented or something like that. Like when I went to watch Inter versus Verona, I thought there was going to be a lot of racism or trouble, but from what I saw, there wasn't any, thankfully. Despite Verona's reputation, maybe there was trouble, but I didn't see any in the ground, thankfully. Especially when I was going with my mum, I thought I don't want mum to get caught up in trouble either, especially. And I'm not too keen on violence myself, so I think thankfully it seemed to be all peaceful. So I think that was good from the reputation Italian football has. I even heard like sometimes people let off fireworks in the ground or throw things at each other and all that. So what I saw, I didn't see anyone do that sort of stuff. So I think that was pretty good. So the reputation wasn't certain, but I've only been to one game. So if people who go like every week, they can perhaps tell their own stories, either positive or negative as well. But yeah, I think a lot of changes like within the prejudice. Perhaps the media should get behind the team as well. I think I talked about like football hooligans. I would rather they like teach young people. Like, say if you've got a guy who's say 26 and he's a football hooligan instead, like I think he can say, you know what, I'll do something more constructive, and as I would see it anyway, and I'll train some of the younger players. So like to make Italian football proud around the world, so that like Italian football wins things, and I think if you develop the youth, hopefully we'll win more in the future. So older people can teach younger people instead. And I think some of the cultural things like smoking, which is a big thing in Italian culture, and including in the football, I think if Italians didn't smoke, maybe more could do better. Maybe would do better as well, if like not smoking or drinking or taking drugs or stuff like that. And I'd love to make like football tournaments in Italy which would promote some ideas and things like that. So I think I actually accidentally went back to point 22 after saying 23. But anyway, yeah. So I'll say 24. I think like Italy is, as a country, is imperialistic. So I disagree with lots of things about Italy. That's why I only really support their football team nowadays, and not like their economy or things like that. But I think I know that football is linked to the economy. 25. It's probably a good thing that I'm clutching at straws and I have to think of some ideas. But yeah, so I think, like, and I'll mention these points quite a few times, but I think they are quite negative about the football hooliganism, crime, corruption, prejudice, extreme political views, division, and all those sorts of things, which I think make Italian football sort of sometimes unethical or not as good as it could be. Because I think, on the other hand, it's like quite colourful. Like the football kits are probably, I think the football kits in Italy are probably one of about the best. So it can market itself much better. But I think it has a bad negative reputation, I would imagine, in much of the world because of the racism, violence, hooliganism, defensive football seen as a bit boring. Some of the stadiums are a bit outdated. And like people say, the players allow themselves to get too old. The clubs allow players, obviously they can't help aging, but rather than getting new blood in, getting younger players, they've kept, like Pirlo was a great player, but I think it would have been probably good if he retired a little bit earlier and instead trained up some of the younger players. That's my opinion anyway. Like I'd always have like 3 under 21 players in every senior game. Again, I'm a bit worried about, I talked about before about sharing some ideas, but yeah, I hope only the Italian League will do that somehow. I suppose the difficulty is when you got tactics, you can't really copyright those tactics. So, but yeah, 26 again as an anti-imperialist, that is something quite difficult. It's like the nostalgia that I support Italian football, but I disagree with the imperialism or going to war or things like that. So it does make a dilemma, like supporting the teams and that kind of thing. Sorry. And 27, I think like some people say Italian football doesn't really get stuck into tackles like Premier League or other leagues around the world. Like when they get stuck into tackles or things like that, Italian football kind of although it's known for defensive, like it doesn't get stuck in as much in the middle, especially in the midfield. Like we had players like Gattuso that got stuck in, but other than that, like a lot of players don't really get stuck into tackle or close down or things like that, perhaps. And I think that affects the team. 28. On that note, I think we should develop more midfield, a stronger midfield and all that sort of thing. More sort of attacking, as I say, the midfield to attack teams more, and that kind of thing. And perhaps what we can learn from other nations, or what we can learn every time we lose, what we can learn from each defeat, and that kind of thing. And I can't think of too many other points. I know I was thinking of these lists of 30, but yeah, I'd love to hear what you think about some of the negative things you think about Italian football, like the racism or the violence. Do you think it is like as bad as the media perhaps put it, or do you think it's isolated incidents? If you go to Italian games, I'd love to hear like what you think about those games. Like, do you think there was too much violence, or do you think it is a good family-friendly atmosphere, or what would you change or improve about Italian football to make it better? I don't want to speak too soon, but I think some of the things are improving, like with Mancini as the boss of the national team, and like good managers like that come through the system, like the Italian football school system. Although we had a bad result in the under-17s where we lost to Brazil, but we got to the quarterfinal of the World Cup under-17s. But and some of our youth teams have been doing a bit better. But I think that things like smoking and diet and training more, and there are a lot of things that need to be done to improve the game. As I said, developing young players, being confident but not overconfident, and things like that. And yeah, I think I can't really think of any more things at the moment. But I hope someone out there enjoyed this video and it wasn't too mad, or if it was, I hope people like the madness. But yeah, so it's a dilemma as an Italian fan, because I think that as an anti-imperialist, there is a lot of racism in Italian football, unfortunately, and as I say, extreme politics like fascism or nationalism, but also communism. As I said, I would love to see Italy be more centre-right or centre-left, and more united, especially like behind the team, what politicians can do to contribute to the team and make Italian football proud like it was in the past. Because like been to 4 World Cups, been to many finals, won 4 World Cups, been to many finals and things like that. So Italy has a chance to become potentially a top team if it develops the youth and invests. And as I say, I think Italy's known to be a bit arrogant, maybe, I don't know, but like, so I love dyslexic and Anglo-Indian people, especially. Like, I think dyslexic people can be quite creative, but to go to Italy and talk about our ideas and how we can improve, including myself, how we could perhaps improve, because some people say dyslexic people are creative, but also like can be good at sport and things like that, and strategy and thinking outside the box. So how we can improve the game. But I think I'll say point 28 is, because I did want to get to point 30, but I was struggling to think of some, but not perhaps being too arrogant to incorporate new ideas. Like people said, when we failed to qualify in 2018, I say we because I'm an Italian fan. I think that Jesse Ventura, whatever his name was, like people said, he was quite arrogant with his strategy. He wanted to keep to his strategy even when it wasn't working. And they were very angry that he didn't want to make changes or compromise, compromise or negotiate might not be, but basically adapt to his strategy. He just wanted to play the same system. And also apparently there was a lot of prejudice, which meant that the FA itself was quite racist, the Italian FA, and didn't want to pay black players, even if those players perhaps could have made us go further or do better. And as I said, I think we should put whoever is going to be best into the team, whoever's going to be best for the squad, or do whatever's best for the squad within the rules of the game. I must admit, if Italy won the World Cup with a penalty which wasn't actually, with some decisions that were mistakes by the referee, honest mistakes, I would be happy that we won anyway. I say we won, as long as it wasn't bribing officials or that they were deliberate mistakes or that other teams let us win or anything. As long as it was in the rules of the game, like, okay, if you dive, that's cheating, but it's up to the referee to see that. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm probably going off track a bit, but anyway, point 29, I'd say I hope that Italians will incorporate ideas from Anglo-Indians and dyslexic people who can go to Italy and help Italy to practice more and play football there and raise awareness about dyslexia as well. And point 30, I might make a few more videos about, if not tonight, maybe some other time, about some of the reasons not to support it, where people might not wish to support Italy. Anyway, I hope I made some sense, as I often say. Hope this video wasn't too bad, and I hope someone out there likes my quirky ideas. But anyway, peace and love.